Hey, and welcome to the latest episode of Don Bennett's Drum Vault. I am a self-confessed Ringo geek, nerd. I wouldn't say stalker. I think you get the idea. Me, like hundreds, thousands of drummers from my generation, just became obsessed with all things Ringo. Every stroke he ever played, every drum, cymbal, stand he ever had. There's something about Ringo that has probably inspired more geeking than any drummer ever. There have been drummers like him after. There's been Neil Peart or Alex Van Halen or Taylor Hawkins or many others that have inspired other generations of drummers. But I don't think any of them have inspired the intense geeking that Ringo has, and the interest in everything he did, everything he played, the mystery around how he did various songs and how he made them happen, the way he played, and of course what he played, what instruments he played. So after doing that, like since I've been a kid, I kind of thought I pretty much knew just about everything there was to know. But when my phone rang a couple of months ago, and it was Jeff Chonis. Jeff Chonis is Ringo's tech. He's been Ringo's tech since 1989. He called me about this set that Ringo had played, and I was really surprised that I'd never even heard of it. So the story he'd been given was that Ringo played this set in a 1995 Pizza Hut commercial, and that the current owner of the set was interested in selling it and wanted some help selling it. And I was a little skeptical because, like I said, I had never even heard of Ringo ever doing a Pizza Hut commercial or playing drums in it. So sure enough, Jeff sent me a YouTube video of this commercial, and there he is. And he's playing this set. So the set is exactly like the drum set that Ringo played for most of his time with the Beatles. It's a Ludwig super classic set, 22-inch bass drum, 13-inch rack tom, 16-inch floor tom, and it even has what has come to be known as the Ringo Spec snare. Now, the Ringo Spec snare, it's a very long story, but basically Ringo used one snare drum for his entire time with the Beatles. That was a drum that he got with his very first Ludwig set, and the shell on that drum was 5.5 inches deep, whereas most of those drums, that Jazz Festival model, would be a 5-inch deep drum. And really, by the time the Beatles ended up on Ed Sullivan and Beatlemania started, the specs of the snare had changed. So it's an extremely rare snare to find one set up in that pattern. So the ad was filmed in Vancouver, BC in 1995. The director was tasked with finding a set for Ringo to play in the ad. He knew a very well-known drummer in Vancouver who he knew had a large collection of drums, and when he contacted him, he was very excited. Who wouldn't be excited if somebody is asking you to borrow one of your sets so that Ringo Starr can play it? But he was particularly excited because he had this set that was almost identical to the one Ringo had played with the Beatles. So when they brought these drums to the set where they're filming the ad, they set them up and they looked great, but the director thought that the front of the bass drum looked too busy, and he covered this Ludwig logo with a piece of gaffer tape, white gaffer tape. But when the famous drummer in the room saw that, he said, no. That looks cool. We got to leave the Ludwig on there. So the director agreed, and they removed the tape. But the tape also removed a little bit of the logo. So that story is actually very similar to when Ringo got his first Ludwig set, and the shopkeeper at the drum store, after the set was sold, he went to take the Ludwig sticker off of it. It's just like you'd be taking the tags off something before you're selling it. And Ringo said, no, leave it on. because he was really proud that they were Ludwig drums. Ludwig drums were really hard to find in England. It was, quite an achievement to get yourself a set of Ludwig drums. So Ringo insisted that the sticker stay on. So, like I was saying, the drum set is almost identical. This drum set is in blue oyster finish. Ringo's set was in black oyster finish. Now, the two colors get confused a lot because they're extremely similar. There's some black in this, but there'd just be more black in the actual black oyster finish. If you look at it on the ad, you really can't even tell. It's that close. This is also faded a little bit, so the intense blues in this set faded to a little bit of more of a grayish color, and that's how they look now. So ultimately, what this set is, this is a set in the whole lineage of the instruments that Ringo's played. Granted, it's not the set that he played with the Beatles, but it's basically just like it. And there is a TV ad and photographs of Ringo sitting behind this set. I think drummers around the world have dreamt of having one of Ringo's sets, particularly one of his Beatles sets. And I think it's become pretty well known that, the one Beatles set that Ringo sold for well over $2 million. And, there's only so many people who are going to be able to get one of those. So anyway, this is a Blue Oyster 1964 Ludwig Super Classic, just like Ringo's, that Ringo actually played, and there's pictures to prove it. All right, so that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for indulging me on a very long, deep geek dive into the whole Ringo story. There's lots more where this came from. Stay tuned. We've got lots more videos coming out very soon. That's going to do it for today. See you on the next one.